Today's class is probably going to be an intermediate level, but you can stop and take it easy every time you feel like you're getting tired or fatigued. So don't push yourself too hard, just find that perfect balance. So legs, ballet bar, using the chair as a bar. Balance work, there'll be a fair bit of balancing here as we do the ballet work, and then we'll go onto the floor and we'll do some abdominals as well. So just coming into first position. So first position, it can either be 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock, or it could be 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Whatever turnout feels right for your hips. So we're all different. So we've got longer legs, shorter legs. We've got SI joint issues. We've got a whole load of things going on. So just find that turnout where you feel connected to the muscles in the back of your pelvis, your rotators. And we're just going to start with a nice, gentle plie. Really, it's really small. You're just allowing the ankles, the knees, the hips to warm up. But the chair is there for balance. So you could hold the chair all the way through, but see if you could not hold the chair until you become challenged. And then maybe you just put one finger on the chair. So when you do your plie, you're going to keep your shoulders over your pelvis. You're not leaning forward. That will enable you to go a lot deeper, but it takes the work out of the legs. So we want to keep it all in the legs and away from the back. So as you're coming, inner thigh squeeze and pull up through the pelvic floor. So knees over big toes, inner thigh squeeze, pull up through the pelvic floor, pull the belly button to the back of the ribs. So all the things that we do in Pilates, we're just really focusing on our powerhouse. Inner thigh squeeze, belly button to the back of the ribs. So doesn't look like much, but there's a lot of work in here. So now plie, inner thigh squeeze, maybe put your hand on the chair, releve, lifting up onto the balls of the feet, bring the heels together, all staying in that very upright alignment. You're not leaning forward, inner thigh squeeze, pull up through the pelvic floor, releve. So once you've done a few, you might be able to take the hands away. So my hands are above the height of the chair, but I can put my hand on it anytime I want to. So the back of the chair is a good height. It sort of correlates with a ballet bar, which would be fixed to the wall. So you can just use that bar to help you. Lifting. Breathe in. Breathe out as you lift. Breathe in. Breathing out. Breathing in, last time, releve, come back down. Bring your toes to front and just do some ponies. So one heel, then the other. So it gives you a nice pump up through the calves. So you've got that venous return through the calves. The calf muscles are really important at pumping the blood back up to the heart. Okay, it just allows those legs not to feel like all the blood is down in the calves and you're feeling very pumped up and very tight. So first position is heels together, toes turned out. Second position is heels, hip space. And again, the same degree of turnout that puts you in connection with those muscles in the back of your pelvis and feels comfortable. So you don't want to over turn out, that feels uncomfortable. Knees over big toes. So if you've gone too wide, or if you've turned out too much, your knees might buckle. I'm doing it really badly, buckle inwards. You want your knees over big toes. If you can't do that, bring your feet in a little bit closer. Again, the shoulders are over the pelvis. You breathe in, you breathe out, inner thigh squeeze. So even though the thighs are apart now, imagine there's like a small ball. Between the thighs, you squeeze the ball, you pull up through the pelvic floor, imprint your belly button to the back of the rib cage. So very active through here. So your squat or your plie in ballet is your most basic function. It's the most effective exercise. It works every muscle in your body. It actually, it challenges your spine while you're doing it, but afterwards your spine will be much more relaxed because you've really taken the tension out of the spine with the plies. You strengthened and turned on all the muscles that support the spine. So maybe hand on the chair, plie, inner thigh squeeze, find your powerhouse, releve. So plie, inner thigh squeeze, pull up, releve. So maybe the hands are out again. Lifting. So really lovely movement. It doesn't overstress the hips, the knees, or the ankles, but it just gives them all a good work, and it just switches on all the muscles of the body. Every single muscle works in a squat or a plie. You might notice you're getting a little bit hot, a little bit out of breath. It's also aerobic. So some exercises do everything when it comes to exercise. Their balance, their coordination. Last one, their flexibility, their aerobic, and they build endurance. So a squat is definitely that exercise. So come back to your ponies. And push into the joints of your toes. So the ability to move each of the joints of your toes, especially the big toe, is really, really important in walking. You don't want to stiffen up in those joints and lose the ability to pitch on the big toe. So just bring the feet together, just lift the heels and pull up through the pelvic floor and come back down. So as you lift your heels, your pelvic floor is very active. And again. So we don't really need to do exercises to strengthen our pelvic floor. Just walking, just sitting and standing, squatting and standing. We're going to tone and strengthen the pelvic floor, the diaphragm. We've got these two muscles that work together. They come up together. They move down together. So they're lifting up. They're coming down. So just a few heel raises. You start to notice your hamstrings, your bottom, your pelvic floor, inner thighs, calves, obviously. But we don't always think about the fact that it's abdominal, transversus and pelvic floors working quite hard to get that lift. So come back to your ponies. So a really lovely stretch in ballet is to take your foot to the flat plane above the toes, and just, so I'll put it behind me so you can see, and just, you're not on the toes, you're above the toes, above the creases of the toes, and you're just going to apply a little bit of gentle pressure until you start to feel the connection from the top of the foot toward up the shin towards the knee. You could do a little bit of a wiggle at the knee. Sometimes if it's tight through here, it can make you feel a little bit squeamish. And then you roll the toes out. So what you've done is you've stretched the fascia, the myofascia, in the front line of the body, through the feet, through the shins, but you've also given your body a burst of circulation in the ankles, the legs, and the shins. So it's really good just to get those muscles awake. So other foot, find the plane above the toes. Can be a little bit shocking how tight you feel through here. Little wiggle, but just make sure you're in a comfort zone. You're not really pushing down too much into the toes. You're just using the traction from the foot on the floor to the knee to activate that line. You might notice one side's worse than the other if you've got ankle issues, foot issues. Just roll out the toes. So you should feel there's a nice burst of circulation into the feet. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to come, we had first position, we had second position was hip space. Now we're going to go even wider. Turn the toes out again to whatever feels right and where you feel connected to the back of the pelvis. Hand on the chair. Just do a plie squat. So if you feel that your knees are buckling in, like I'm showing you here, that means you've gone too wide. You need to look down at your feet. As you do your plie squat, your knees should be directly over your big toes. I'm only leaning forward to show you. So then bring your torso back into square, shoulders over pelvis, and we're going to breathe in, breathe out, squeeze that imaginary ball, pull up through the powerhouse. Breathe in, breathe out, squeeze and pull up. So as you go wider, you're going to get a little bit more stretch in the adductors, in the hips, but you're really going to start to work your bottom and your outer thighs, abs. So very simple move, but very, very effective. Inner thigh squeeze. So keep those knees over the big toes. And now if you're ready to, you can put your hand on the chair, inner thigh squeeze, releve. Breathe in, inner thigh squeeze, pull up through the powerhouse. A little bit harder to balance. So if you need to, you put the one finger on the chair. Usually enough just to help you with your balance and coordination. Breathe in, inner thigh squeeze, pull up through the pelvic floor. So as you do that heel lift, you're going to be using your pelvic floor anyway. And then you add that little uplift. And again, a couple more. Last one. Come back down. So bring the feet together. Come back to your ponies. The ponies are just a nice transition, just to keep the venous return good in the calves, keep that blood coming back up to the heart, and then just maybe stretch out the feet again. So you can do that really quickly now you've done that first one. Just turn towards your chair and just give yourself a little bit of a calf stretch. So you want the width of your hips between your feet. You can lean into the chair. You're pushing your back heel into the floor. So you just want to feel that good stretch. Take a breath. And then you're going to bring that same foot in towards where the toes are lining up with the heel of the foot, but you've still got the hip space in between. So you're not as if you're on a tightrope, you're wide. And now you're going to bring your shoulders over your pelvis, over your heel, and get that deeper muscle in the calf. And just breathe. Really nice stretches. Nice stretches to do when you're walking as well. And then gently come up. So just doing them really quickly. A quad stretch. So don't bend your elbow because that pushes tension into your neck and shoulders. And you're really going to get the stretch by tucking your tailbone under and pushing your hip forward towards the chair. And just breathe. You never hold your breath while you're stretching. So then let go of that foot. Take the other foot back, hip space in between. You could lean into the back of the chair, push the heel into the floor. Just find a stretch that feels good. The more you push into your chair and push into your heel, the stronger the stretch gets. And just breathe. And then you're going to come out of it and you're going to bring the foot into where the toes line up with the heel of the front foot, but still with that hip space in between, shoulders over pelvis, and the weight is going straight down into that heel bone so that you get the deeper muscle in the calf to stretch. You're sinking into it, you get that comfortable tension. You're breathing. So then slowly coming up, and you're going to bring the foot up, nice long arm, no bend in the elbow, and you're going to just bend your other knee, the standing knee, tuck your tailbone under and push your pelvis towards the chair, just to get that perfect amount of stretch. And just breathe. And then gently release and just shake out. So facing front again, come back into first position, and we're doing an exercise called tendu. You're going to pull up through the pelvic floor, imprint the belly button to the back of the ribs. You're going to just point to the side and come back in. Point. So as you point to the side, pull up through your quads. Feel like you're pulling your quadriceps in the front of the thigh upwards. So this is really going to work the standing leg, and it's really going to work the quads on this side. All the time you feel like you're growing taller, longer, through your spine. As you do this, keep a little bit of softness in your standing knee, otherwise you will fatigue in that leg quite quickly. So see now if you could come back into first and tendu to the front. So tendu is pointed toe, slightly turned out in the hip. One finger on the chair maybe. You're pulling up through the quads in both legs, but the standing leg is a little bit soft. One more. And then toes to front, just do a little knee bend, a few ponies, whatever you need to do to relax the leg that was standing. So you can move the chair around, just watch your back as you move the chair, or you can just turn around. So you know what you're doing, you could just turn away from the camera and you could do it again. So first position, pull up through the pelvic floor, imprint the belly button, tendu to the side, standing knee a little bit soft. Excuse me, coughing. So very long spine. Focus on your powerhouse. That's where all your strength and balance is coming from. And then tendu to the front, slightly turned out, foot slightly lifting and pointing as you lift. And you're pulling up through both quads. So nice and long. Maybe it's balance and coordination as well. One more. And then feet together. Little knee bends. Turn around again or move your chair. Front attitude. You're going to come into first position. You're going to bring the foot up so the knee is turned to the side. Attitude means angle. So you've got your knee at a turned out angle and you're going to lift to the front with the knee in that turned out position. Standing knee soft. Long spine, abs engaged. So this is front attitude. In ballet, everything is just very simply what it is. Sounds lovely when you hear it in French, but when you hear it in English, it's just really basic instructions. You start to notice your transversus, your low abs are working quite nicely here. It's always the standing leg that's working the hardest. So we do a few knee bends, stretch the bottom, allow the legs to relax. Do your ponies for that Venus return. You want the blood coming up out of the calves so you don't get too tight in your calves. Come back into first position. And then what's called fifth position. My fifth isn't anything like a ballet dancer's would be, but the heel goes behind, the pelvis stays nice and square. You bring the foot up again into the attitude, into the angle, the turned out angle. And now you take the foot, I'll turn sideways to show you. You take the foot to the back and you're not moving your torso. So you're not moving forward through the chest to take the leg to the back. So you keep the knee in that turned out position. The box of the body stays very square. It's a great one for the bottom, this one. So knee turns to the side to activate your rotators and your glutes. Very important muscles for strong, stable pelvis. And if you get fatigued, you don't need to do as many as me, you could just stop. And the minute you stop, this is my last one, you're going to come toes together, little squats, mini squats, feel the stretch in your glute maximus, your bottom muscles. And then do your ponies. Do a quick foot stretch if that feels good. So carefully turn around or move your chair. First position. Fifth position in behind. So we're going to start with the first position. We're going to lift the knee into that attitude, into that turned out angle, and we're just lifting to the front in turn out. The box of the body is not moving forward with the leg. I can see looking at myself in the camera that my knee doesn't quite turn out quite so far on this side today. Doesn't matter, you're just observing these things. So that would be tightness in the back of the pelvis. Standing knee, always a little bit soft, always bent at the knee so that you don't fatigue that supporting leg too quickly. One more, or have a rest already. Toes to front, little mini squats. So with the leg work, you can feel it building, building, building. It's getting stronger and stronger as you keep adding on more layers. First position, in behind, fifth position. Lift the knee into the attitude, into the turned out angle, and now you're taking the foot to the back. So turn out to the back. So think of the foot pressing to the back. Keep the torso, the long box of your body perfectly still. You should be feeling this in your bottom. And if you tighten your bottom, you won't feel tension jumping up into your back. So just keep going with that. Couple more. Stop when you fatigue. That's one for me. Definitely a little bit harder on this side. So just do your little squats, do your ponies, do your foot stretch. So coming into a stretch, we're going to take our right foot to our left knee, and we're just going to sit into it so that we get a nice stretch in our piriformis on the bent knee side. You can do this sitting down, but we're just doing it quickly in standing. We've been very strongly working these muscles in the back of the pelvis, so it's nice just to give them a little bit of a stretch and gently come out. So we'll do it to the other side, left foot to right knee, sitting into it. I'm definitely a lot tighter on this side, which was why it was harder for me. So, at this point you might make a note to self to later on today get a ball in this place or a roller and just really start to relax those tight rotators. And gently relax, shake out. So carefully bring the chair around or turn around again. So rond de jambe means circle with the leg. Very simple, basic instructions. First position, you're turning out to the front, so tendu to the front, soften the standing knee. You come around to the side, around to the back, and we'll come straight through. So you're going to go straight into the half circle because we've got the chair. You can do this on the floor, tracing the shape on the floor, or you can do this in lifted. Standing knee soft. Try and keep a count of how many you're doing so that when we reverse it, so I think that was probably about 8 for me. Now I'm going to do 8 in reverse. So it's a lovely movement for the hip, strengthening your glutes. Keep the legs straight but flex as you go through. So it's really working all the muscles around the hip. Last one. And knee bends, pony. So you can feel you're getting quite hot. These are using the big muscles of your body, so it's quite aerobic. Okay, so either turn around or just move your chair. First position, abs engaged, tendu to the front, around and flex through. Around and flex through. Focus on your powerhouse. Try and do the same amount that you did on the other side. I'm going for 8. This is 6. Standing knee soft. 7. I'm getting nice and warm now. We should open my windows. So in reverse, my central heating is on in my body, not in my house. 3. 4. If you find it difficult to coordinate, maybe you're on a sort of a lazy side or an injured side, just slow it down. Give your brain the time it needs to smooth that out. 1 more, and my legs are very happy now to stop. So just do some knee bends, sitting into it until you feel your bottom stretch. So what started off as an exercise actually becomes a nice transitional move now, which you sort of look forward to, because it gives you that stretch that you need. Getting the blood pumping up to the heart. You're doing your ponies just to make sure the feet are getting more and more supple as you go along. Releve balance. So we're going to come into first position, and we're going to just releve, lifting up. And we're just going to stay here and see if we can balance. So, oops. So when you get wobbly, just really pull up through the pelvic floor, imprint your belly button, and the wobble should start to calm down. Come back down. So now we're going to come up onto our toes, press our heels together, and see if we could do a little plie in releve. Think inner thigh squeeze, pelvic floor, take the hand out. Use one finger on the chair. You could use no hands. The more you press your heels together, the less tension there will be in the knees. You want the tension at the heels, not at the knee. One more. Take the heels down. So again, do your ponies. So then come into second position, feet hip space. Find your perfect turnout. And we're going to releve, lift the heels. We're going to balance. We're going to pull up through the pelvic floor, imprint the belly button. Getting harder as we go wider. If you get where it's too difficult, one finger on the chair. Breathe, don't hold your breath, that only makes things worse. Gently down. So see now, if you could releve, if you could come down and come up with the heels still lifted, down. Don't go so deep that it feels uncomfortable in your knees. Just breathe. So as you do this, you become very aware of your powerhouse working super hard. Try balance. It's going to work everything. Everything below the ribs is going to be toned. I'm getting a little bit out of breath, a little bit hot, because this is also, whoops, last one, aerobic. So come back into feet together, ponies, stretch the toes. So this is where I said this is a little bit of an intermediate level class, because we're using the big muscles, so it's quite hard. So we've had first position, we had second position. We're coming into the plie squat now, which is wider than hip space. Make sure the knees don't buckle in. Come into releve, balance. So the wider you go, the harder it gets. Just pulling up through the pelvic floor, imprint the belly button, look at something that's not moving. So you can feel those muscles fatiguing because they're holding. And come back down. So when you're ready, releve, and we're going to come down and come back up. I've got my hand on the chair for this one. Keep your knees over your big toes. Don't let them buckle in. If they do buckle in, come a little bit closer with the feet. Keep the shoulders over the pelvis. You're not leaning forward. You're not going too deep. So this one's really going to get your inner thighs, your outer thighs, your bottom. Still aerobic. The test with doing anything aerobic is you should still be able to talk. You might be a little bit out of breath, or you perceive what you perceive to be 7 out of a scale of 10 of level of difficulty, and that will put you at about 70% of your aerobic range, which is perfect for training. So come back into heel raises. We're very good at judging our heart rate. So if we say 7%, number 7 out of 10, or 8 out of 10, we're 70 to 80% of our aerobic range. When you test people, they're almost 100% accurate in that. So just stretch. And the best range for aerobic fitness and fat burning is about 75% of your maximum heart rate, 65 to 75% range. So just turn the chair around. So we're coming into not too close to the chair. Bend the knees and a side bend towards the chair. And come back. So you're bending your knees, side bend. Keep your shoulders nicely lined up. You don't want to bring the shoulder forward into rotation. You want to be going directly to the side. Again, just that lovely stretch into the side body. So if you wanted to, at this point, you could take your leg into straight and you could bend the standing leg and you could just get that little bit more connection through the straight leg. One more. So bring the feet together, and now this time, purposely, we bend the knee, we side bend, we rotate towards the chair, and just get into some of those long muscles of our back. Do it nice and slow. So bend the knees, side bend, rotate. So if you know you've got a tight back, do this slowly, do it with care. Bend the knees, side bend, rotate. One more, feels really lovely actually. Just bend the knees, side bend, rotate, and gently come back into center. So we'll do the other side. You could turn away, or you could move your chair. So not too close to the chair, that will give you a room to maneuver. Just bend your knees, gentle on the first one, because you'll be super tight, and come back into center. Bend the knees. You're moving directly to the side. The imagery is that you're between two big sort of plate glass windows. You can only move to the side. You can't add that rotation. Bend the knees. Maybe you're breathing into the rib cage. If you want to get a little bit more fine tuning. Breathing in. Everywhere you feel the stretch, you're going to get toning. So this one's lovely for the side, the bra line, around the bra line and into the waist. So then if you wanted to go a bit stronger, you take that outside leg into straight, you bend your standing knee. So using that extra torsion through the leg, just to get a little bit more, bend the standing knee into the sideline. You do two more. You come back in. One more. Lovely, come back in. Just bring the feet together, and now you're going to bend the knees, side bend, and rotate slowly to the chair. First one, really gentle. Come back up, come out. So bend the knees, side bend, rotate, back into side bend, straighten the legs. Two more times. Bend the knees, side bend, rotate, side bend, stand up. Last one, bend the knees, side bend, rotate, side bend, and come back into center. Beautiful. Move the chair back again or turn back around. So we're coming into pliés, moving through different directions. So we're going to just come into first position. We're going to do a one-legged plie. So we're going to plie on the standing leg, front attitude, sorry, plie, extend and tendu. There's a name for this exercise, I've forgotten what it is, but plie, extend in turnout. Plie, so it's front attitude and tendu, all combined. Plie, we'll do 5 each way. Plie, 5. So now you're going to take the foot into plie, front attitude, but now taking it to the side. Plie, extend to the side. Plie, this is 3. Plie, 4, so very strong in the standing calf, this sequence. 5. So now plie and strong abs, tight bottom, take it to the back. Plie, take it to the back. The more you tighten your bottom, the less likely you are to arch your spine. Plie, 4, my standing leg saying, no more, no more. Last one, and bring those feet together. So do your little squats, do your ponies. So very much standing leg exercise. Change the chair or turn around. First position, coming into your front attitude, knee turn to the side. You plie in the standing leg and you extend to the front tendu. Plie, tendu, 5 each way. Plie, breathing. You breathe in as you plie, you breathe out as you extend. Plie, this is 5. So now plie out to the side, connect with your bottom. Plie out to the side. Plie is 3. Plie 4. Plie 5 to the back. Plie, strong abs, strong glutes to the back. Plie, keep that knee turned out, extend. Plie, bottom tight, 3. Breathe in, breathe out 4. Breathe in, breathe out 5, and bring the feet together. Sit deep, let the bottom stretch. We're nearly there. Calf raises. Move the chair around. So this one, we're going to come into first position. We're going to come into front attitude, knee turn to the side, standing knee soft. We're going to lift the knee and we're going to circle back and down. We're going to lift the knee higher, circle back and down. Lift the knee even higher and see if you can come up into releve, and we do 5 little kicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and circle back down, heels to the floor. Try that again. So foot behind, standing knee soft, low knee lift, circle back. Slightly higher knee lift, circle back. Coming even higher, releve in the standing leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And come back down. By that time, your bottom's complaining. Change sides. We're going to go on the floor in a minute, so don't worry if you're getting hot like I am. First position. Attitude. So you lift the knee a little bit, slow circle back and down. Lift the knee a little bit higher, circle back and down. Lifting the highest that you can, releve on the standing leg, 5 little kicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come back down through both heels. One more time. Attitude. Slow, low circle. A little bit higher with the knee. Medium-sized circle. High knee. Releve. 5 little kicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and both heels come down. Balance, coordination, very big in that. Turn to face your chair. Let's do a calf stretch again. Give those calves a lovely stretch after all their hard work. You could lean into the chair. Bring the heel in a little bit and sit into the heel at the back. And then you could finish with a quad stretch. So a change, calf stretch. We're going through them really quickly because we want to do some abs at the end. Bring the foot in a little bit, sitting into the heel at the back. I've got a really good sweat on here. Should have had a little flannel or something. So aerobic, so you're going to get hot, you're going to sweat. Quad stretch. So when you're in your aerobic zone, you get two chemical reactions in the body. You get heat and you get water. So if you're not sweating, you're not hot, you're not in the aerobic zone, you're not in the fat burning zone. So if you're sweating, if you're hot, you're in the fat burning zone, which is great. So just turn the chair towards you, the seat of the chair, and we'll just do a hamstring stretch while we're here. So you're turning out your standing foot, and you're going to bend both knees, the knee on the chair, the knee on the floor, and you're just gently moving towards. So think of your belly button moving towards your big toe on that raised foot. So if your belly button is going forward, that means it's not going to be felt in the back. You want to feel this just in the back of your thigh. You might be able to do this with a straight leg, but keep your standing leg a little bit soft. Think belly button to big toe. Just breathe. You could add a little bit of a bend and a straighten in your standing leg, and that will just be a more dynamic stretch in your hamstring. You'll feel the hamstring lengthening and shortening, lengthening and shortening. Make sure it feels good. You're not forcing it. Okay, and then just gently come back up. So changing sides. Both knees a little bit bent. Think belly button towards big toe. Just find a stretch in this leg that feels good. So remember, you might not be the same in both legs. Maybe the knee is bent, or maybe you can straighten that other leg, the raised leg, and maybe you're adding that little gentle up and down. With the belly button moving towards your big toe. Don't want to feel this in your back. And you don't want the chair too high. You could do this on a table or a sofa, but keep it at this height and it's not going to be too strong a stretch. So just gently coming out of that. Get rid of your chair. We're going to come to the floor. So maybe now you grab your pillow. The legs will be really happy now that they're going to get a rest. So we're going to just do some rollbacks, nice and slow. Not too far, just feel the stretch in the back, pull the belly up under the ribs towards the back of the rib cage. So you're seeing how curved can I make my spine? Think of a capital C. You're trying to be dropping the chin, you're trying to bring your body into that capital C. Pull the belly up under the ribs. So now you're starting to stretch it out a little bit. Make sure that you can come up without lifting the head and the chest. If you feel like you have to strain to come out of it, just come up a bit higher and don't go all the way to the floor. So you could reach the floor, you could bring the hands forward, float the head, imprint the belly button, and my abs are tired, which means we've done quite a bit of ab work already, and with the leg work. So raise the head, belly button to spine, and stretch. Rolling down, we're going to stay down. So if you need the pillow for your neck and head, you do. You put the pillow there. If not, we're going to bring the knees in. Nice level pelvis. And we're going to come into tick-tock. It's an abdominal exercise, but we've really worked our legs. So let's just see what our range is now. Slide the other leg down. You're in turn out. So the leg is turning out. Put your hands out to the side. You're falling inwards, falling outwards. You should feel the muscles of your legs and your hips are really lovely and loose and relaxed after what we've done. I've certainly got a lot more range. And in this bigger range, you'll notice your abs have to work quite a bit harder. Okay, come back into center and bring that leg down. Float the other leg. Turning out at the hip, the knee, and the toes. You're falling across the body. You're falling outwards. You're falling across. You're falling out. So again, even though this was my stiff side, I've got much more range than normal. I can feel my low abs, pretty much everything below the ribs actually working quite hard to stabilize this movement. So that's transversus abdominis. Come back into center and lower the leg. Bring the hands to the pelvis, and we're going to float the right leg in, turn out, and we're going to draw a circle. We're going to come down, around, and up. 1. Press your other leg into the floor, down, around, and up. 2. down, around and up, 3. Feel like you come down easy to 6 o'clock, but you have to push up to 12. 4, 5, 6. Stay turned out, go in reverse, drop down to 6, push up to 12. 1 and 2. And because we've got the looser leg muscles, 3, our circle might be a little bit bigger. 4, don't overdo it. 5, but you should feel you've got a little bit more space than normal. Bend that knee in, hug your knee, and just float your head into center, float your elbows, pull your belly button up under the ribs, just breathe into the back of the rib cage, and slowly, gently down. When the head's down, just hug both knees, give yourself a little bit of a squeeze. When you're ready, you take the feet to the floor, you raise that left leg in turn out, press your right leg into the floor, hold your pelvis, you're coming down, around, and you're pushing up to 12. 1, down, around, push up to 12. 2, you're doing 6 in each direction. 3, 4, 5, 6, stay turned out and reverse the direction, down, around and push up to 12. 1, down, around and push up to 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, last one, 6, and take the leg into the chest, hug the knee, float the elbows, float the head, pull the belly button up under the ribs, breathe into the back of the rib cage, slowly, gently down, hug both knees. So if you're feeling quite hot and feeling that this class is quite hard, it's because it's been predominantly legs, and that means we're using the really big muscles of our body, which makes it more aerobic, makes us hot, and means we burn more calories, but it definitely makes it a harder class. So think now about single leg stretch. You're going to bring a little bit of a space, a little bit of a hollow into the small of the back. You're going to press the inside of your left knee, the knee into the hand into the knee, extend your right leg, and then switch. So as you push into the knee with the hand, your abs will fire up a little bit more. You decide how high or how low your leg's going to be, and just go out to that chosen height. Maybe you float your head, you breathe in for 2, you breathe out for 2, you're breathing in for 2, you're breathing out. You stop anytime you want to have a break. Last time, breathing in, last time, breathing out, and just hug your shins. Come into a tight ball, do a little bit of a side-to-side wiggle, massage your back. So bring the head down, left foot to the floor, and just stretch your hamstrings. Just a little gentle bounce. You can still keep your knee a bit bent, that's fine. And you just want to feel the muscles sort of lengthening and shortening a little bit, but in a comfortable way. So straight leg is fine if you're able to do that. And then bring that leg down. Left leg up, little gentle bounce. So then we're going to just switch the legs, bounce, bounce, and switch, bounce, bounce, and switch, bounce, bounce. Your belly button is pushing down into the mat. There's no space. Bounce, bounce. You could take the legs into straighter if you like that version. You're in turned out hips. Bounce, bounce. You could float your head. Breathe in for 2 bounces. Breathe out for 2 bounces. Breathing in, no space in the back's pushing into the mat. Last time, breathing in for 2, breathing out for 2. So we just stretch out those legs a little bit after we did all that leg work. Excuse me. Right foot to left knee. And just lift that left foot up, and let's just get into those rotators that we work so hard. You're pulling the knee in, you're holding the foot. It's called rocking the baby. You're just sort of swaying through the foot and the knee. Should feel good. And breathe. You could float the head. It doesn't affect the rotators even a little bit. It just stretches your spine. So you're just adding in another stretch here. Slowly, gently down. Uncross, and then switching. So you're going to take your left foot to your right knee, keep an eye on the time, and we're going to lift the right knee. We're going to hold the back of the foot, the back of the knee. We're rocking the baby. So you should feel all those muscles in the back of your pelvis in a good way, not in a bad way, not overstretching. Taking some nice deep breaths. And maybe you float the head. And then gently down with the head, and we're uncrossing the foot. So we'll finish with the crisscross. Nice level pelvis. We'll float the knees. We'll link the fingers, hands under the head. You can do the head just slightly lifted off the floor if you don't like doing the mermaid because it affects your neck. Or you can float the head a little bit higher if you're okay with that. So you're extending your right leg and you're turning your right elbow toward your belly button. You come back, extending your left leg, turn your left elbow. Pull your belly button to the back of your rib cage as strongly as you can. So you feel like you're coming from a very strong center. So you breathe out as you move out through the leg. You breathe in as you return to center. Breathing out, breathing in. Breathing out, breathing in. One more, you're nearly there. Come back into center. Lower the head. Just pull the shins in. Just give yourself a little bit of a squeeze. Roll your shoulders. Move your nose. So take the feet to the floor. Lift your bottom up and just put your hands at the front of your pelvis. And you're going to just drop the right side of your pelvis, but try and keep the left side of your pelvis up in your hand. You're not allowing this left side to drop. And then come back to level. And then you're dropping your left side of pelvis and you're pushing your right side up into your hand. So this is really stretching your femurs in the hip. So right side down, left side up. Come back to level, left side down, right side up. It's a nice bottom and ab exercise as well. Come back to level, right side down, left side up. Come back to level, left side down, right side up. Come back to level. And then just to prove which muscles you're working, we'll do 4 right side down. So right side down and lift back up. Keep that left side up, right side down again, and come back up. Feel what your leg bone is doing in the hip on the left side. It's rotating inwards and then it comes back to relax. Right side down, you feel that strong stretch in your hip. Come back to level. So now 4 on the left side down, right femur rotates inwards and you come back up. Left side down. There's a fair bit of ab and oblique work going on here. 2 more, left side down. Right side up. So you should feel your glutes and your abs fatiguing by now. Last time, left side down, right side up. Come back into the center. Lift your pelvis as high as you comfortably can. And then float your arms and roll down through the spine. Just a nice stretch to finish. Bring the knees in. Just hug your knees. Give yourself a squeeze. Bring your head into your knees. Small, tight ball. And then just take the feet out from the body, just swinging up. I'm going to turn around so I can just see the clock. So lifting your feet, hold behind your knees, push your legs into your hands, pull back with your hands, but keep your elbows nice and high, and just see if you could roll and come back up. So a nice way just to massage our back as we finish. You're looking through the thighs. So you're sort of looking forward and down. Chin is slightly tucked. You don't want your neck in this at all. You don't want your head up and your neck overworking. Last one. Come back in. So coming into your mermaid. I always like to do the mermaid at the end. It always feels really lovely. Hands on the floor. So just coming up and over, and you're dropping the sit bone. You come back into center, up and over, drop the sit bone, up and over, up and over. See if you could bring your outside knee onto your ankle of the other leg. So the knees are a bit closer, and you'll notice it's a little bit more challenging. Up and over, up and over, up and over. And then see again if you could bring your knees even closer together. So this is your classical mermaid position. When the knees are together, you're squeezing your inner thighs to get your powerhouse a little bit more active because it's harder. So there's your classical mermaid, and come back into center. So switch the legs around and go wide again. So you've got your wide triangle. You're coming up and over. You drop the sit bone. Up and over. Up and over. I definitely had an aerobic workout today. My hair is wet, I've been sweating. I didn't open the windows here, which was a bit stupid as well. So bring your knee across onto your ankle and see if you can do that narrower position. The inner thigh squeeze, pull up through the pelvic floor. And if you could manage that, then see if you can bring your knees quite close together. Really squeeze your thighs together now to find a little bit more in the powerhouse. Hold your ankle, and there's your mermaid. Up and over. Inner thigh squeeze. Pull up through the pelvic floor. One more. Up and over. Come back into center. Take your top leg around and bring it into cross-legged. Hold your knees, and you just look at which legs you've chosen and then switch them over and use your least favorite leg at the front. And you're going to hold your knees and you're going to round backwards, pull the belly up under the ribs. You're coming up into an up stretch. So rounding back, pull the belly up under the ribs, and you're coming into up stretch. One more, rounding backwards, pull the belly up under the ribs, coming into up stretch. Come back into center, just give yourself a little bit of a wiggle, and you've finished. So that was quite a hard workout, and hopefully you'll feel the benefit of it as you start walking around and getting on with the rest of your day.